Most men believe they are strong until they are tested. One insult, and they lose control. One rejection, and their confidence collapses. One moment of disrespect and anger takes over. They don't lack intelligence. They don't lack ambition. They lack emotional control. And without emotional control, discipline means nothing. You can wake up at 5 a.m., you can lift weights, you can build routines. But if your emotions control you, your life will always feel unstable because every external event will decide your internal state. That is not power, that is dependency. Look at your own life. How many decisions were emotional? How many arguments did you regret? How many times did anger speak for you? How many times did fear stop you? Most men are not calm, they are suppressed. They are not stable, they are distracted. They are not disciplined, they are reactive. And reactive men are easy to manipulate. If someone can provoke you, they control you. If someone can offend you, they control you. If someone's opinion changes your mood, they control you. So the real question is not, are you strong? The real question is, who controls your emotional state? You or the world? The Stoics trained one ability above all others. Not wealth, not status, not power, control over response, because the man who controls his response controls his life. Today we begin that training, not suppression, not pretending you don't feel, but mastering what you feel. This is not about becoming cold, it's about becoming untouchable, calm, precise, unshaken. And once you master this, everything else becomes easier. Pause. Let's begin.
Chapter 1: The Emotional Weakness Epidemic. There is a silent epidemic spreading among men. It's not physical weakness, it's not lack of opportunity, it's emotional fragility, and it hides behind noise, behind confidence, behind humor, behind ego. Modern men react to everything. A comment online, a message left unseen, a woman losing interest, a colleague getting promoted, a friend disagreeing. Small events, massive emotional swings. Why? Because most men were never trained to regulate emotion. They were either told, suppress it, or express everything. Both extremes create instability. Suppression turns into pressure. Pressure turns into explosion. And uncontrolled expression turns into chaos. So what happens? You scroll, you distract yourself, you vent, you argue, you over-explain, you seek reassurance, you chase validation, all emotional reactions, all signs of internal dependence. Here is the deeper truth. Emotional weakness is not about feeling too much. It is about identifying too much with what you feel. You think, I am angry, I am anxious, I am hurt. But anger is an experience. Anxiety is a sensation. Hurt is a reaction. They pass. Yet you attach identity to them. And when identity attaches to emotion, you lose stability. Psychologically, this happens because of ego attachment. The ego wants control. It wants approval. It wants to feel significant. So when someone challenges your status, you feel threatened. When someone ignores you, you feel diminished. When someone criticizes you, you feel exposed. And the brain reacts as if survival is at risk. Heart rate rises, muscles tighten, voice changes, adrenaline spikes, all over words. That is how untrained the modern nervous system is. Your body reacts to social discomfort as if it's physical danger. But here's the problem. If every discomfort feels like danger, you will spend your life defending yourself. And a defensive man cannot lead. He cannot think clearly. He cannot move strategically. He reacts instead of responding. Emotional fragility also creates something worse: predictability. If someone knows what angers you, they can control you. If someone knows what flatters you, they can manipulate you. If someone knows what scares you, they can limit you. Power is not dominance. Power is emotional neutrality, the ability to remain stable when others expect you to break. Look at leaders. Look at powerful men in history. Their strength was not volume, it was composure. When chaos rises, they slow down. When pressure builds, they become precise. But most men today speed up under pressure. They talk faster, think faster, react faster, and make worse decisions. This is why relationships fail, why opportunities are lost, why respect disappears, not because of lack of talent, but because of emotional instability. So before you try to become more disciplined, more successful, more respected, ask yourself, are you emotionally stable or emotionally reactive? Because if your inner world is unstable, your outer world will always reflect it. Emotional control is not optional, it is foundational, and without it, everything else collapses. Chapter 2. The Biology of Emotional Control. Emotional control is not just philosophy, it is biology. Inside your brain, there are two systems constantly competing. One is ancient, the other is evolved. The ancient system is survival-based, fast, reactive, impulsive. At the center of it is a small structure called the amygdala. Its job is simple: detect threat, trigger response, keep you alive. It does not care if the threat is physical or social. To the amygdala, rejection feels like danger, embarrassment feels like danger, disrespect feels like danger, so it activates fight or flight, anger, defensiveness, withdrawal, overreaction, and it does this in milliseconds before you even think. Now above that system is something more powerful, the prefrontal cortex. This is the rational brain, the decision maker, the strategist, the observer. This part of your brain asks, is this really a threat? Is this reaction necessary? What is the long-term consequence? But here's the problem. When emotion spikes too high, the amygdala overrides the prefrontal cortex. This is called an amygdala hijack. In simple terms, emotion shuts down logic. That's why you say things you regret. That's why you send texts you shouldn't. That's why anger feels uncontrollable. Your rational brain goes offline. Now here is the empowering truth. The prefrontal cortex can be trained. Just like a muscle, every time you pause, you strengthen it. Every time you resist reacting, you strengthen it. Every time you observe emotion without obeying it, you build neurological control. This is not theory. This is neuroplasticity. Your brain rewires based on repetition. If you practice reacting, you become reactive. If you practice pausing, you become composed. Most men have trained reactivity for years. Instant replies, instant opinions, instant anger, instant defense. Social media has conditioned the nervous system to seek immediate expression, but Stoic training does the opposite. It slows the system down. Breathing deeply signals safety. Silence signals control. Stillness signals dominance. When you breathe slowly during anger, you are literally calming your nervous system. Heart rate decreases, adrenaline stabilizes, the rational brain comes back online. This is why emotional control feels unnatural at first, because you are interrupting a conditioned pattern. You are choosing evolution over impulse, and that choice is strength. Understand this clearly. You are not your first reaction. Your first reaction is biology. Your second response, character. The gap between those two moments defines the man you are becoming. If you live inside the first reaction, you remain primitive. If you operate from the second response, you become powerful. Emotional mastery is not suppression. It is regulation. It is keeping the rational mind active even when the emotional system is triggered. And the more you train this, the calmer you become under pressure. Not because you feel less, but because you control more. Emotional control is not about being cold. It's about being neurologically disciplined. And discipline is trainable. Chapter 3. The Stoic Method, Ancient Practices for Modern Emotional Control. Long before neuroscience explained the brain, the Stoics were already training it, not with theory, with practice, daily discipline, mental conditioning, emotional exposure. They understood something most men today ignore. You cannot control events, but you can train your response to them. And they developed systems to do exactly that. Let's break them down. 1. The discipline of perception. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Notice the precision, not over events, over perception." The Stoics believed that events are neutral. It is your judgment that creates suffering. Someone insults you, that is an event. You decide it is disrespect. You decide it is threatening. You decide it lowers your status. And then emotion follows. But what if you remove the judgment? What if you simply observe? Those are words, nothing more. No attachment, no identity threat, no ego response. Perception training means asking one question. Is this within my control? If not, release emotional investment. This alone eliminates 50% of unnecessary suffering. Modern men react to things they cannot control. Opinions, politics, other people's moods. The Stoic method cuts that waste immediately. 2. Voluntary discomfort. This is where strength is built. Epictetus taught that comfort weakens character. So, Stoics practice discomfort on purpose. Cold baths, fasting, sleeping on hard surfaces. Wearing simple clothing. Why? To reduce dependency. If you can tolerate discomfort voluntarily, involuntary discomfort loses its power over you. This trains emotional stability because many emotional reactions are simply resistance to discomfort. Embarrassment is social discomfort. Rejection is ego discomfort. Criticism is psychological discomfort. But if you train yourself to endure discomfort calmly, your nervous system stops panicking. You become harder to shake. Modern life removes discomfort. The Stoic life introduces it strategically. And through that training, you become emotionally durable. 3. Negative visualization. Every morning, Stoics imagined loss, not to become pessimistic, but to become prepared. They imagined losing status, losing comfort, facing hardship, being misunderstood. Why? Because when the mind rehearses adversity, it stops fearing it. Fear weakens emotional control. Preparation strengthens it. When you mentally accept that discomfort is possible, you stop reacting like it's unexpected. Nothing shocks you. Nothing destabilizes you. You are prepared internally. 4. Reflective journaling. At night, Stoics reviewed their behavior, not emotionally, objectively. Where did I react poorly? Where did ego take control? Where did I stay calm? No shame, no self-hatred, just analysis. Self-correction builds mastery. Most men repeat emotional mistakes because they never review them. They justify, they blame, they distract. But reflection creates growth. If you do not measure your reactions, you cannot improve them. 5. The power of delayed response. Stoics trained silence. When insulted, pause. When provoked, pause. When angry, pause. Silence unsettles the impulsive. but strengthens the disciplined. Responding slowly signals control. Responding immediately signals emotional dependency. The Stoics valued measured speech, few words, intentional tone, calm posture. This was not weakness, it was dominance, because the man who is hard to provoke is hard to defeat. You do not need to live in ancient Rome. You live in a digital battlefield. Social media triggers comparison. News triggers outrage. Dating triggers ego. Work triggers insecurity. The Stoic method applies now more than ever. Before replying to a message, pause. Before defending yourself, pause. Before arguing online, ask, is this within my control? Before reacting emotionally, ask, is this worth my stability? The ancient method still works because human nature has not changed. The nervous system has not changed. Only the distractions have increased. And the man who applies ancient discipline in a modern, chaotic world becomes rare, calm, strategic, untouchable. This is not about becoming emotionless. It is about becoming internally sovereign. When your inner state is not controlled by the external world, you become powerful. And power begins with restraint. Chapter 4. The standard emotional control is not a technique. It is a standard, a decision, a line you draw within yourself. You will still feel anger. You will still feel fear. You will still feel ego rise. That does not disappear. What changes is who commands it. Weak men are owned by their first reaction. Strong men are defined by their chosen response. That is the difference. Not intensity, not volume, not aggression, control. The world will not become softer for you. People will not stop testing you. Disrespect will not disappear. Pressure will not reduce. So the question is simple. Will you be reactive or will you be sovereign? Because once you master emotional control, no one can provoke you into weakness. No one can bait you into chaos. No one can destabilize your direction. And that is power. Emotional control is the foundation. Discipline rests on it. Leadership requires it. Respect follows it. If you cannot control your emotion, you cannot control your life. Train the pause, train perception, train restraint every day. In the next episode, we go even deeper. We build mental toughness, pain tolerance, endurance under pressure. Because calm is step 1. Endurance is step 2. This is Stoic masculinity rebuild. And if you're still here, you're not here for comfort. You're here for control. Stay disciplined.